Welcome to Hack Circus. A bit of a different episode again this week. As you'll know, if you've been following Hack Circus on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat, I'm actually in Finland at the moment. By the time you listen to this, I may well be back, unless you listen on Thursday. And I might get enough material to make 2 episodes from Finland, so hold on to your hats for next week and we'll see if that happens. The reason I'm in Finland is because I'm doing a residency here as part of a thing called the Creative Museums Project. So I'm working at a museum of theatre and a museum of photography, and I'm making things out of their archives and collections. And I'm also trying to connect them with the local maker community. Now, I don't know those people either, so I've had to do a bit of research and also going out to these hack spaces. And this episode is really comprised of 3 separate short talks which took place at a coffee morning I organised last week at the Theatre Museum for makers and hackers and designers in Helsinki to meet people from the culture industry here. And the 3 talks you're about to hear are a brilliant guy called Rambo, Eero Hölin. I'm saying completely wrong, I'm sure, but Rambo is his handle online, who is heavily involved with the Hacklab in Helsinki here. You'll also hear from Ashish Mohite, who, again, I'm sure I've said his name wrong, who works doing 3D printing research at the Aalto University Digital Design Laboratory, which is also known as the Ad Lab. And you'll finally hear from Erik Parr, who is a designer and artist who is American and currently working also at Aalto and at other places in Finland and internationally. Actually, he's done loads of stuff, and I've just included a small part of his talk too. They're all lovely and really interesting. There were lots of questions and I felt like it went really well. Helsinki is lovely. The air is amazing. The sky is an extraordinary colour. The leaves, I've never seen anything like it. It's like the trees are on fire. You would not believe the colours, the autumn colours. I mean, I know I'm naive and British and haven't travelled very much, but I can't, every time I walk past a tree I take a photo of it. It's incredible to me. It's a beautiful time to be here. It's suddenly got a lot colder over the last couple of days, and I can just feel the Arctic winter coming. But I say Arctic, of course, we're not actually in the Arctic Circle here, but it's still extraordinary. It's different, very different. It's very peaceful. There's hardly any cars on the road, and it's super clean, and I don't know why everyone here isn't an artist, because you just feel like bottling whatever it is that is in the air around here. It's lovely. Also, everyone's extremely fair and extremely fresh-faced and healthy looking, and they're joyful. Everyone's amazing at English, and I've picked up about 2 words of Finnish, and it's not Finish's fault. It's absolutely mine. Hey, let's get on with it.
So, Helsinki Hacklab is a hackerspace. We use the term Hacklab because it's easier for Finnish people to pronounce. Whether in Finland hackerspaces and Hacklabs are the same thing. There is hacklab.fi, which is a very unofficial collaboration of the Finnish hackerspaces. Almost every year we get together twice a year. So early in the year, in January, February, and then in the beginning of summer. Last Saturday was kind of busy. There were some people from Hong Kong visiting. They're touring the world and learning about different makerspaces and hackerspaces. I'm not quite sure why, but it was kind of absurd because our space is in this kind of derelict small industrial area, Pitäjänmäki. And it's a very old building, and we are in the basement, in the back of the building, and then there are these dignitaries coming from Hong Kong with a driver and Mercedes-Benz from Hotel Camp. Yes, welcome. This is not weird at all. We also managed to score a big late, just on Wednesday. And move it in place. It weighs only 1,900 kilos. It was a very interesting job to move it inside. So here it's on a trailer.
Sorry, what was that?
A lathe, sorvi, for metalworking. And here is a part that I CNC milled out of polyethylene plastic. It's for an art project. We are building a linear motor, actually 3 linear motors, for a project that will at some point be public. Where we were at assembly representing. Some people play with multicopters, quite a lot of people. Also, in the beginning of summer when we had the meeting, Hackerspace meeting in Helsinki, we also have this traditional robot competition in the meetings. And the Helsinki competition we organized in this park near our space. What is it? Well, it's in Pitäjänmäki behind ABB. Strömbergen puisto. Yes. So that got quite the audience actually. A lot of people came to see it. Of course it was good weather and so on. But so the basic idea is that you need to go around this track clockwise and the fastest time wins. It's a lot harder than it looks. Yeah, and Tuesdays we have our normal open nights or meeting nights or what do you want to call them. Some 5 p.m. until late. Everyone is welcome to come and see and what happens. The tools are for members only, mostly because of insurance, etc. issues. So if a member manages to saw off their hand or something, then it's the member's problem. But if it's a guest, then it's suddenly the board's problem, and the board doesn't want to be responsible for that kind of stuff. I guess that's the quick introduction to Helsinki Hacklab. Okay, questions?
How many people are active at your Hacklab?
Well, we have the 2 kinds of memberships. We have the standard membership, and then we have a keyholder membership. And we have a bit over 30 keyholders, and maybe 15 of those are seen basically every week and probably almost every day. And then we have about slightly over 200 standard members, and some of them are basically never seen.
So you have open events, but basically you need to be a member to be able to use the tools, or how does it work with?
Yeah, you need to be a member to be able to use the tools. But the standard membership is 28 euros a year, so it's basically basically nothing.
But you have events that people can just come and see what it's about.
Yeah, well, we have the courses, and the open nights are when people can come. So Tuesday nights people can come and see what's it about.
And another question, do you collaborate with if a museum or another kind of institution would want to do something, and do you collaborate with?
Yeah, well, we do various collaborations. We did a collaboration with Helsinki University, where they had these doctoral students it was actually the information technology department, and they had doctoral students that were building these smart greenhouses. And the problem is that the workshops of the other departments are very jealously guarded. So the easiest solution for them was to make a deal with us so that they got a few keys to the space, and the university took responsibility of the people, and they paid the normal key holder fees for those keys, and then they managed to actually build their greenhouses and finish their.
I noticed that there was the logo of Suomen Kulttuurirahasto. What kind of funding do you have from there?
Suomen Kulttuurirahasto, we got a very nice grant for upgrading the woodworking room and building hot work rooms for welding and stuff. And and stuff like that. So we got 14,000 euros from them this spring.
14 or 40?
14.
Okay.
No, not 40. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and then there are some other Finnish Unix Users Group Foundation also has given us quite a few grants, and some other foundations we try to get grants from wherever we can get. So the basic idea is that the key holder membership fees cover our rent very barely, but we have to be independent on the rent, so that we're not dependent on any outside party on being able to pay the rent, so that we don't have to we don't have to tell someone that no, you can't do that because it's politically sensitive and our sponsor will get angry and then we can't pay the rent. No, that's unacceptable. So basically we apply for grants for buying machines or building hot work rooms, which is surprisingly expensive.
I would just like to introduce myself. So I'm a doctoral researcher at AdLab. I don't know, I think most of you might know about it or might not know about it. So it's Aalto University's Digital Design Laboratory. It started 4 years ago, keeping in mind the idea of doing research in the field of digital design and digital manufacturing. So we have lots of 3D printers, we have few robots, we have few laser cutters, and we try to do research within the university using those tools and try to help other people who want to use those machines for research purposes or for artistic research. So we have been doing some collaboration with HIAP. So we supported some artists from HIAP, and we also had an artist in residency, Katrin, who basically came here with HIAP. So she did a project afterwards with Kalevala Korhu in collaboration with Kalevala and produced 3D printed jewelry. Some of the other projects which we are working on are, which I'm working on personally, is also 3D printing furniture, 1:1 scale. So 3D printing is always used for making small prototypes. But what I'm trying to think about is like how 3D printing could be used where you can actually use the parts as daily objects. So I've been 3D printing some furniture. So this is actually like a 50 centimeter high chair. And I always try to design something which is intended for 3D printing, something which cannot be reproduced by any other method. So that's the idea behind this. So there are like 800 different kinds of spheres here. Another project which I'm involved in, this is a European Union project which is called as Ceramics and its Dimension. So there are few schools of ceramics around Europe which are involved, and 2 museums of ceramics are involved in this project. And we are one part of that project which talks about ceramics and its future. So for that we have built a ceramic printer. We built one small ceramic printer, and then we are building another big ceramic printer. And so what I'm trying to understand is like when you design something in 3-dimensional space, it's always perfection, and when you try to reproduce it with 3D printer, you also strive for perfection. But with new technologies, sometimes there is always imperfection. So this is what I'm talking about, imperfection. So here, each object is the same in the beginning in the computer, but when you print it, just because of the technology, because of the glitches in the technology, you get this imperfection. So in my PhD, what I'm trying to understand is like how you can use this imperfection or the glitch as a driver for design. So how can I understand like how the glitch is happening, and how can I use that glitch to actually design something new? This is my first experiment. So this is completely out of pure accident. And then I was like, okay, this can be used again. So how can I replicate it? So I try to replicate it digitally, changing the G code or changing the geometry, and then I get this. So this is like trying to replicate the glitch from here to here, and then again try to replicate that, and then every time I don't change anything, just because of the technology which I'm using, I get different results. So again, like every object is different. So the whole idea is how to use a tool to actually reproduce imperfection, because historically when you make things with hand, there is always an imperfection, and when you go for digital fabrication or fabrication with machines, there is always perfection, and everybody tries to do perfection. So yeah, these are all other pieces, some other big furniture pieces. So if you have questions.
Is the ceramic very expensive to print with?
No, it's €1 per kilogram.
Okay, well.
We are not using the Z printer powder ceramic, which is €150 per kilogram, but
Right.
we are just using normal ceramic, which they use in pottery.
Right. Okay.
So it's nothing special.
Right.
Right now it's very slow. That's one of the biggest problem. Like one chair takes around 50 to 100 hours. So it's like really a lot time consuming. So it's not for let's say industrial manufacturing, but it is one-off piece. It's like a boutique piece.
So still, it's more like full prototype.
Yeah, but in material cost sense, it costs like €20. It's just a time, which is a lot.
Hi everyone, my name is Erik Parr. I'm an artist and designer, and thanks everyone for presenting before. It was very interesting to hear Leila's talk, because I have a similar background that's kind of interdisciplinary, and I'm a big advocate of interdisciplinary thinking. I think that these categories that are often placed on these different activities are, just end up dividing people instead of bringing them together. So I'm really interested in these different ways of approaching things. I've been here for 2 years as an artist. I'm actually finishing with a master's program at Aalto University right now. But I also have background in intellectual history and teaching and writing, as well as digital design and interactive design, which is what I'd like to focus on today. This was a project that was shown, another permanent installation that's shown in the Vita Fabriken Museum in Stavanger, Norway. It's the science museum there. And this was a collaboration with an Icelandic design exhibition design company called Gagarin. And what we were asked to do was they wanted to create an experience of where you could experience sound as energy. So for the science museum, they wanted to actually have they wanted to show how sound is a form of energy, and they wanted to do that by breaking, doing the old trick of breaking a glass with sound. Maybe you've seen some cartoon of opera singer breaking glass. So that was the basic ludicrous idea that they came to us with. So basically our job was to actually realize this ridiculous proposal. And it was lots of fun, and I can actually show you some of the initial tests. I don't have any video of the finished product, although this was the soundproof booth that we ended up with in the end. So for this entire summer, I was telling people that my job was breaking glass for a living, because it was that was basically all that we were doing. Riveting, I know. Okay. So this was our very first test. We were actually just trying to see how do you break a glass with sound, and in the end, we ended up coming up with a system where users could come into this soundproof booth here and on one side there was a microphone, and there was a screen that they could play a game where they would try to match the right frequency, because breaking a glass, you have to get like the exact right frequency to make it work. So we turned that into a game, and people could try to match their voice. Of course, it was scaled down, because to actually be able to do it, to break the glass with sound, you have to hit some high frequencies and be really loud. So there was some technical help there. But in the end, we created a system that is still that's still running today, and every day people go in there and they are breaking glass.
That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry the sound quality suddenly changed again, but my recorder broke, so I'm just shouting into my laptop now. If you're wondering why it sounded so weird and you kept hearing people scraping their feet on the ground, it's because that sound recording was made by the Theatre Museum just as for their own records, and I asked for it specially so that we could have an episode this week and I could make something for you for today, because I haven't really had a chance to do any other new recording. And this is my promise to you. I'm going to make an episode every Thursday until we have at least 50 episodes, and we'll see where we're up to. If you're enjoying these, please do rate or review on iTunes. It only takes a second to do, and it exponentially increases the number of people who can find this show. So share the love. If you don't have iTunes or hate it, then just tell someone. Tell someone about this program that you like listening to. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week, and that is a promise.